He was just a lovely teacher. So at that time, actually, I made up my mind, right? After staying there for 2 years and learning from him for 2 years, I really wanted to become Buddhist. And because Tibetan Buddhism was the only one that I know, that I actually really started learning Buddhism, it was really natural for me to become one of them, right? To put on the orange and a yellow robe and to be like him. Actually, even before I became ordained, I already changing all my sweaters and my shoe, to the maroon color, right? I was wearing the maroon like sweater all the time. Actually, my friend was always like teasing me, "Oh, almost there," because he was sitting me in that color. But what happened? After I came back from Canada and I started to work in Malaysia, I just realized that it's so different. Because at that time in Kuala Lumpur, I couldn't find the same temple from the same for a Tibetan temple from the same lineage. I was searching for I think more than half a year. I couldn't find any. And then I started to realize that there are other Buddhism as well. Like I was really naive about Buddhism. I didn't know nothing about Buddhism. The only one I knew was the Tibetan Buddhism. So I was really shocked that there are others Buddhism. And then I started then only I started to join the Mahayana, the Chinese Buddhism, and it really opened up my mind. Like, wow, Buddhism from China is so different from the Tibet. Okay, for one example, I remember I was doing the practice on the what we call that the yoga, no, the yogini, yeah, the tantra, one of the tantric practice. I remember whenever I went into the temple, you will see an orange color uh, statue. It's really like the same height as me, and it's a female figure, naked, like stepping on some scales, and around that figure there are some mara. Mara means well, yeah, mara, right? You know the meaning of mara. There was thing that I knew about Buddhism. Like, no, we should be studying that. But when I went to the when I actually went to the Chinese temple, I didn't see any of that. It's just a Buddha Shakyamuni sitting in the middle, nothing fancy, not colorful. And then I started to realize, what I have been learning so far was actually Buddhism from a very different culture compared to my own culture. Right. So at the end, when I came back, I started to join the Chinese Mahayana Buddhism. I realized I kind of have a feeling that, I'm home. Right. Because many of the teachings I received from the Chinese Mahayana Buddhism, actually, I've started to feel like I feel more connected. Yeah. So that's why I chose to talk about Mahayana Chinese Buddhism for these few classes, because I feel like, yeah, we are living in say we are staying in Malaysia or in Singapore, we are so close to the culture because Buddhism, wherever it goes, it will take the form of the local culture. Right? It never stays the same. So some people say, I belong to in Chinese, we call it 原始佛教, right? Or we call it early Buddhism. That is a form that the Buddha, like was practicing. But actually, no. Right? Buddhism changes its form wherever it goes. It absorb the local elements, local belief system, and will become incorporate into one big culture itself. So nothing is the same as the Buddha's time anymore. You go to China, you go to India, you go to Japan, everything changes. Even to Thailand, it's not the same. Right. So for me, learning the Mahayana Chinese Buddhism, for me, it's more like going home to me, because not in terms of its teaching. For me, the teaching are the same. It's just that it's not familiar. Yeah. So that's why I plan to share a little bit about my understanding and my understanding about how the Chinese Buddhism came about. Okay, so for the 4 classes, we're going to have 4 sessions in this series. The first is about the foundations. Yeah, so we will start to talk about how the Mahayana Buddhism came to being and what are the core teachings in Mahayana Buddhism. And the more important is, how is it different from Theravada Buddhism? Yeah, I see somebody smiling here. So that's why you're here today, right? Oh, why is it so different from Theravada Buddhism? Right? What does it teach us? What do they do? Sure. Oh, sure, no problem. All right. And the second part is the major sutras. That will be the next lesson. I'm going to talk a little bit about the most important sutras. Sutras, what you call the scriptures. For example, the Heart Sutra, the Diamond Sutra, Lotus Sutra, which are very essential for the Chinese Buddhism. And of course, we will be going into something more practical. Yeah, the practices of example, chant meditation. So how is it different from the Theravada meditation? Uh, why do we read the sutra or chant a sutra in a specific way? Why do we sing it? Well, in Theravada, it's more like, it's more chanting instead of singing, right? What is all the singing about? And Vesak Day, Ulampana, what are they about? And also the monastic life. So how is it like to be a monastic or to be a monk or a nun living in a monastery? What is the impact? So these are more like the general introduction to Mahayana Buddhism as such. All right. So these are the 4 classes that we have planned today, the 5th, and then for the following 3 weeks. Yeah. So every Thursday at 7:30 to 9:30. All right. So book your time on the calendar. For you who cannot come, well, in Shalam Buddhist Society, we try to make sure everybody attend the physical class, right? Okay, yeah, brother child will make sure of that. Yeah, and make sure everyone will come here. So unless you have special needs, then you might be able to join online. But for those in Singapore and anywhere from Hong Kong, yeah, I see some people from Hong Kong, very welcome here. So let's see. Yes. Oh yeah, perfect. The last one is a mistake, session 4. Okay. Well, anyway, you all know what I mean, right? It's the problem of copy and paste. All right. So what do we expect? Buddhist terms. In this course, I will use some terms. I try to use all terms in English, but there are sometimes mixed with Sanskrit words. I know many of us are more familiar with Pali word, right? Like dharma. In Pali, you will say dhamma, right? But in Sanskrit, we say dharma with an R. So because I'm more familiar with Sanskrit due to my background, so I would use, but I'm sure you guys can guess, yeah, what they mean. They're very similar, and some Chinese terms I try to translate them into English as frequent as possible. But if you come across any difficult terms, please just raise your hand, right? For use online, you know where to click the button. But or you here, I have also prepared a microphone for you. You see that high tech microphone I prepared here. One is a actual microphone, and then with the little black thing stick at the back, that is so that people online can hear you too. So whatever you say will go to everyone here, in everywhere in the world. Okay? Don't worry, you have a chance to take. So these are the Buddhist terms. And what do you expect next? Group discussion. Actually, my initial plan was I wanted to really form you guys into different groups, like in an actual online class when we did during the pandemic. And that's why I was asking Louis whether we can have, what do you call that? Yeah, the breakup room. But maybe not today. Yeah, we need some time to get used to it. So I try to form you guys in the breakup room. I don't want to be the only one speaking for 2 hours. It's torturing. Yeah, for you, not for me, right? I try to speak half the time, and you guys will discuss and come up with some answers or some opinions during the class. So group discussion. That's why I encourage most of us to turn on your camera, because I do have a screen next to me that I can see everyone's face online. Yeah, that's what I really want to do. So turn on camera, make sure you're more engaged with the discussion, and I'm sure this will be more fun. I know I'm sure people here sitting here, so sometimes you get bored and you snooze out a little bit, but it's fine. But it's even easier for us online. So try to be more engaged. Turn on your camera. Okay. Unless you're having your dinner now, it's okay. Other than that, turn on your camera. Yeah? You'll be more engaging with everyone else. Okay. What else? Camera on, mic off. So these are what we expect. So we expect some discussions. And if you have any question, just voice it out. Yeah. I'm more happier actually to have discussion right on spot. Yeah. You don't have to wait until the end. I'm sure at the end you forget a question. I also forgot what I said. All right, that's the thing. All right, Introduction to Mahayana Buddhism. Okay, of course, as we mentioned before, we cannot speak about any school of Buddhism without going back to the very basic, fundamental teachings, fundamental facts about Buddhism that is shared among all Buddhist schools, like Tibetan Buddhism, Chinese Buddhism, Japanese Buddhism, Theravada Buddhism. We all have a lot of shared fundamental teachings and also system, right? So we cannot speak about Chinese Buddhism as an independent independent school alone. We have to always go back to what the Buddha taught and how we develop when it reached China. What happened there? When we talk about the Four Noble Truths, what happened to Four Noble Truths when it traveled to China and it was explained by different masters at that time? So, from the very beginning, I plan to spend a few slides just talk about what are the most fundamental teachings of Buddhism. Of course, most of them you have heard about, but just bear with me, right? Just like, just for you, maybe is for you to refresh your memory. Of course, the first thing is the Buddha. We all know the Buddha means the awakened one, right? The Buddha comes from the Sanskrit root. Actually, it's a verb. You know that most words in Sanskrit and Pali, it comes from verb, action. Any of you have taken the Pali course, learning Pali language? Oh, one here. Who is teaching the Pali language here? Pandey Asashi? Okay. So you know about the grammar in Pali and how it forms? Okay, never mind. So I assume many of us, we don't have any idea, right? So the Bud, it comes from B-U-D-H. Bud is a verb that means to know, to understand, right? So Buddha is the one who has know about what? Known the truth, the reality. So it's very fun if you look at different words, and all the words we always go back to the very fundamental roots of a word. So Buddha, right, and then body, all right? And when you see the words, which it looks so familiar, yes, they always come from the same root. So body is also another form. They come from the Buddha, to know. So body is what we always say bodhicitta, right? The minds that want to achieve enlightenment and help others. So the body itself means the wisdom that we want to achieve. So to know, and then the wisdom, and then the one who has achieved enlightenment with all the wisdom, they all linked to the word Buddha, right? So the Buddha means the awakened one. That's just a little bit of background. And of course, we know the Buddha before he became enlightened was Siddhartha, right? And meaning is Siddhartha, the two words they combine together. The one who is accomplished, right? Accomplish what? Accomplish great success, accomplish great knowledge. Artha has many meaning. Artha can means meaning of things or goal, right? So Siddha means that already achieved, right? Sanskrit is very fun. Pali is very fun. You can always analyze them, it's a very logical language. All right. And we know that his clan name is Gautama. So Siddhartha Gautama, that is that is a Buddha's name before he became Shakyamuni. So of course we call him Shakyamuni. Why? Because the Buddha, his family came from the ethnic group in India we call the Sakya. Right? Sakyamuni. Muni means the Jew, right? Kind of Jew. So in India, it means when you're calling somebody a Jew, it means that you are sage. You are someone very rare. You are someone who is well accomplished. So Sakyamuni means the sage from the group, from the ethnic group called Sakya. All right, just a very basic definition of the name Buddha. And of course, then we need to know a little bit about how the year, what do you call that, in the calendar, the Buddhist calendar is counted. Do you know what is what do you call that, the Buddhist year right now? Yeah, we just had a Vesak few months ago, right? So what was the year? Are you sure? Is that the answer? If I tell you that in Thai it's different, so which one will you choose? Leap year is easier? Okay, anyone online, any guess? Okay, what is the year? I'm not sure. I think, okay, the funny thing is, right? One fact we have to know is that no one is sure what year the Buddha was born and what year. Well, of course, we have a consensus. It's, oh, the Buddha lived after 80 years. Yeah, okay, 80 years. But from when to when? We never came up to the same understanding. So the recent scholarship, they even brought the year even much later to 410 before Common Era. There was like almost 1 century later than what we believe in Myanmar and in Thailand. So who is right and who is wrong? The answer is we never know. Because in India, history is very kind of like, it's not well defined, not like in China. We never know for sure which year, who was born, and what did they do. No, we never know the answer. So if you see that, of course, in Malaysia, I think we follow the year given by Myanmar, right? Okay, you're correct. The first one should be correct. The leap year, right? 2568. So this is the number of years after the Buddha attained parinirvana. Parinirvana means that going to nirvana, right? When the Buddha, or in general term, the Buddha passed away. Starting that year, we count from 0. But it's strange that in Chinese Buddhism, especially in Taiwan, I know that there are some schools or there are some different lineage that count the year according to when the Buddha was born. So that's why when I first learned about it, I was really confused. What year is now? Like, what exactly is a year now? Is it like 2568 or what? There are some different figures used by different country. So next time you go to visit another Buddhist country, just know that we never know for sure, right? It's just a consensus that we accept, we agree upon, and the 12568 is what we accept in Malaysia now. Just bear that in mind. Yeah, we never know for sure. Okay, of course, a little bit background on India is very important. Why the Buddha was so special during his time, right? We know that in India, we have 4 major castes. Caste means like they actually divide the general people into 4 different classes. The highest one, I'm sure you heard about, is the Brahmins. Brahmins are the priests and the teachers. They are in today's now, they call it Brahmanism, right? So it's today's Hinduism, the most important religion in India at that time. So the priests or the Brahmins, they are at the hierarchy, they are at the top of the pyramid in a whole society. The teachers. And the next one, so in this photo, in this picture, you will see that those who are born, right, from the head of their, born from the head, right, of their, what do you call that, Brahma, right? That is their god or whatever they call it. born from their head is the Brahmins. And the next one is Kshatriyas. Kshatriyas is the warriors, the rulers, like the kings, the prince, our Buddha, like Gautama, Siddhartha Gautama is actually, the family is from Kshatriya. Means they're the warriors, they're the king, they're the prince, they go for war. They rule the land, right? It's a Kshatriya. And next one is Vaishyas. Vaishya are the farmers, the traders, the businessmen, right? Those who work. And the last one is a Sutra. Sutra is the laborers. So these are the four main categorization of the people in India. So one and last one is, if you see the Dalits, right? The Dalits is, they call it outcasts. They are the street sweepers, they're the latrine cleaners. They do the worst job that nobody wanted to do. So who are they? The Dalits, right? They don't even belong to the lowest caste in the formal four caste system. They're the lowest. So for the Dalits, actually, they in the during the ancient time, they might be the people from other country that actually they came to India because of war or feminism. So those are the people that are not recognized by local people. And then they might be the war, also other war prisoners captured from other countries. So these people, they don't have a formal status in a society. So they have to do the worst job in a society. So even today, we still see the structure in India, right? I will talk a little bit about more here. So for the Brahmin and for those who are higher, the Brahmin, the Kshatriya, actually there are four stages of life. For the first 25 years, they are the student. They learn. What do they learn? They learn the Vedas. Vedas mean actually the scriptures, the teachings from Hinduism, right? At that time, we call it Brahmanism. And then after 25 to 50, they become a householder. Householder is like, okay, you raise a family, right? You get married, raise a family, bring up your child, your children. And after 50 years old, you start to look for a meaning of life. So they call it forest dweller. It means that you go out to the forest and you think about the meaning of life, right? You leave your family and you actually go to search for purpose of life. And after, even up in the last stage, is a wandering ascetic. Wandering ascetic means that you give up all your possessions. You become an ascetic, you become a monk, or you become someone who don't possess anything. So this actually is what is regarded as a very precious or very meaningful life for most Indian during the Buddha's time, right? But the thing is, they are only being practiced by the Brahmin and the Kshatriya. For those who are lower, they don't have the privilege to do that. So it's very, it kind of, when we look about it from today's point of view, it's very unfair, right? And so what's so special about the Buddha is, the Buddha actually, he formed the monastic. And if you want to look at, okay, so Buddhas and those who became a monk under the Buddha, they're more like the wandering ascetic, right? They renounce their possession, they renounce everything they have from their home. So they're more like the wandering ascetics. The special thing about the Buddha is he accepted everyone, even from the Dalits, even from those who are the lowest, the not acceptable people. They call it untouchable, the untouchable people in India. So that is something for us. The Buddha was very revolutionary in the act. It's something really that cannot be imagined during the time. Yeah. So this is a photo that when I went to India about 10 years ago. We're talking about Dalits, right? If you see that photo, those sitting, everybody that was sitting there, they are from the group called the Dalits. They are the untouchable. They are the lowest group of people who belong to India, even until now. So they call themselves Dalits. Dalits in India, it means the broken one, those who are broken. Why? Because they were never accepted in a society. So about 80, 70 years ago, there was a very big Buddhist movement in India who actually call upon all those people, all these untouchable people, and then to come together, and then they all convert to Buddhists. They all became Buddhists. So it was actually started by a famous person called Ambedkar. Yeah, if you search online, you will see his name, Dr. Ambedkar. He was the one who started all these efforts to help those people, the untouchable people. So this is a center 10 years ago when I went to India. It's called Manuski Center. So this is actually a Buddhist temple, a Buddhist monastery. And they're all lay people, right? They didn't become the monk, but most of them are social workers. They want to help the poorest people in the society as much as possible. So I went there and we talked to them. They did meditation. They studied Buddhism. They're really great. So these are the people who are called the Dalits and who have become Buddhists. And nowadays in India, the majority Buddhists came from this group, the Dalits, right? So this is very interesting. There's a fact that we know. All right. And this is also one of my good friend from the same center. His name is Mahmoud. And he is a fireman. At that time, he got married at that time, and then he asked me to go to the wedding ceremony. Did you see the Guan Yin Pusa in the middle, right? Imagine this is India, right? Yeah, very Chinese. Why do they have Guan Yin Pusa sitting right in the middle? And when I asked them, they say, "Oh, I don't know. We borrow from some temple, and then they just gave it to us as a gift." They say we love them. For them, they are very open-minded. Everything about Buddhism is good. So I was very welcome, by them. I also gave like a speech and also gave them some blessing from chanting the Xing, right, the Heart Sutra to them. Yeah. So this is how they got married. And the photo in the middle with the guy wearing spectacles, he is Ambedkar. So the father of Buddhism in modern India. He was the one who chose to become a Buddhist in order to help all these people. So now his work has spread throughout India, and I don't know how many, I don't know how many people, like many of them join this group and they become social workers to help people. So yeah, there was something that I learned about Buddhism in India at this time. So Dr. Ambedkar and Guan Yin Pusa, very, very good match. All right. Okay, a little bit about Buddha more, a little bit more. It's about, there's a saying that when a Buddha got enlightened, right, he was sitting under the Bodhi tree and he saw the bright star. Actually, there are 3 stages about his enlightenment. Okay, the first, they say that the threefold knowledge that the Buddha gained, according to the sutra, right? The threefold knowledge that the Buddha gained at this time. What is the first one? Karma, right? The Buddha realized that the Buddha remember all his previous life during the first stage of his enlightenment. He see, oh, what I had in my previous time, and then rebirth. And then he also saw the rebirth of all beings according to the karma. So these two become the most fundamental teachings of Buddhism. All right. Even though these are also shared by other religions as well. Hinduism also say the same thing. The idea of karma and rebirth didn't come from the Buddha. It was already the teachings by many religions in India at that time. Right? It was nothing new. But what was so unique about Buddhism is the Buddha talked about the last thing is the law of dependent origination. In Chinese, it's called 十二因缘 or 十二缘起, the law of dependent origination. It is, to put it simple, it is an insight into the cause of suffering and a way to end it. Right? This is a teaching that is the only thing that is not shared by other religions in India. So the Buddha's threefold knowledge become the most fundamental teachings for all Buddhism in the world today. Karma, rebirth, and the law of dependent origination. Okay, karma and rebirth, everybody knows. We have the 6 realms of existence, right? We have the God, humans, animals, the hell, the hungry ghosts, asuras. I remember when I was still a student, there was once I heard about a teaching. The teacher was trying to teach us where is hell? And where does a hungry ghost live? I remember it was quite shocking to me to hear that, because in the Chinese sutra, we mentioned about the hell, right? They say the hell we have 18 types of very cold like places, and 18 extreme hot places. And then he tells us, do you know where they are? And then he said that, and then he said, you know the Arctic, right? Or the Antarctica, right? That's the North Pole and the South Pole. That's very cold, right? Yeah, that is close to where the 18 coldest hell is. And do you know where is the 18 hottest hell? Somewhere near Africa. At that time, I was so shocked, like, really? They are in our world? We are living right next to hell? There was something that I was taught. But of course, right? Nowadays we know that it's not true, right? This is not how we look at like the six realms of existence. It's according to Buddhism, right? These six realms of like existence, like especially hell and the hungry ghosts. We call that in Chinese like 鬼道, right? Those yam gan or in Cantonese. Actually, it's not like a physical place that exists outside, that you actually go to when you die or something, right? It's more happening in the mind. We may look like a human now, but we might live like a ghost, right? When you feel hungry, you look at the mirror and you look at yourself, you look like a hungry ghost, right? And when you're angry, you really want to, you're really so upset, look in the mirror, right? At that time, you transform into Asura. Asura, right? Asuro is a half human and half God creature who really involve all the time. They're angry ones, right? So, and then I felt relief at the end when I learned about Buddhism. Is that, oh, actually, all these worlds and realms is really not like, actual physical. It depends on how we see and how we analyze and how we feel things around us. Yeah, we'll go more deeper about that. Yeah. So all I want to say is hell is not somewhere in the North Pole or in the South Pole, right? It's really here. Yeah, like when I'm sitting here, sometimes I feel like I'm in a, I'm the North Pole, or sometimes I feel like I'm in Africa, right? Because the aircon is really cold. Yeah, I'm really in North Pole now. So of course, we talk about the dependent origination. The Four Noble Truths come to mind, right? There is suffering. There is a cause of a suffering. There is a way out of suffering. And what is the way out of suffering? The Noble Eightfold Path, right? These are oh, thank you so much. Just push it up, push it up. Yes. Yeah. I just transformed from the North Pole hell to the human realm again. Thank you so much. You see, it's here. Everything happened in the mind. It's not out there. All right, thanks. The Four Noble Truths. I love the first one. There is suffering. The other day when I was preparing the lecture, I read from a source that actually translate the first line to life is suffering. I'm not sure you've heard of it. Life is suffering, right? And I also thought that life is suffering. Yeah, it's common. It's a common knowledge among all Buddhists. And actually, it's the same thing that I was being attacked by some other people who are non-Buddhists. Say, you Buddhists are so pessimistic. You always say this is not good, it's not bad, this is suffering. Nothing is joyful in the world. So you Buddhists are all pessimistic. But are we? Are we all pessimists? Or are we like really, joyful people? Even really? Oh, you are okay.
We are being practical.
We are being practical. There's a middle way, right? There's a middle way. I think the translation of life is suffering is very problematic. Okay, so I did some research. I went to check up some party texts. I want to look at how the party texts actually, talk about the Four Noble Truths. And I always see, like in the context where the Buddha was having a conversation with his disciples in the sutta, he always said it's always it's either you see the forwards, suffering. So there is it's more like the Buddha is saying that okay, this is suffering, that is suffering. The Buddha would point it out. But right now at this point, I never come across to a text that say that life is suffering. Well, maybe there is, but I haven't found yet. So I start to question who came up with the understanding of life is suffering. Well, so my question is, did the Buddha actually say that life is suffering? Or did the Buddha just say, here is suffering, or life has suffering? Right? Do you see like the kind of like a very subtle difference between the two? Right? One is like a condemned life, no meaning in life, everything is suffering. You just have to go through it, live through it. But that may create a lot of misunderstanding. So I'm not sure. Maybe there is, but when I look at some of the Pali text that I just do a quick check, I couldn't find in a text that the Buddha actually said life is suffering. Oh, Buddha said, well, being born, birth is suffering. Becoming old and sick is suffering. Becoming depart from a loved one is suffering. Having to see your boss every morning is suffering. The Buddha didn't say that, right? But these are the 8 types of suffering that the Buddha talked about. But so far, I never heard Buddha say life is suffering. Right? I'm not sure maybe there is, but please let me know if you found anything like that. Yeah. So don't say life is suffering. Say in life there is suffering. That is closer to the Pali text or to the Chinese text that we talk about the Four Noble Truths that give us complete, like a little bit of different understanding of what the Four Noble Truths is. Right? We don't condemn life as it is. Life is really meaningful. It's atta. For Buddhists, life is really meaningful. Yeah, that's how we transform the mind, how we find joy and create meaning for many people. Okay, so for the first time, there's suffering. Of course, the most root cause for the suffering is because we believe that there's a permanent soul, right? The soul goes through life after life. The same soul come back again as another human being or an animal, and it's permanent. But the Buddha never say that. The Buddhists say that there are 5 aggregates. What are they? They are like the material form, the sensation, perception, mental formation, and consciousness. Right? Nothing else. Well, just bear with me if this is the first time you come across to this time. If you want to expand all of this, we can take the whole semester to talk about it. So it's fine, right? Just in short, life has 2 things. One is the material, the body that we have, the body you can touch, right? The eye you can see. And the other 4 belongs to the mind, the sensation, right? How you feel, perception, how you understand things, mental formations, what you do, your actions. Consciousness is like the CPU, behind that, they give instructions and analysis and everything. So a human being or a living thing is nothing more than having a body and a mind in a very general term, right? So the Buddha say that, well, there's not a permanent soul. It's because we think we ourselves is permanent, right? We never change. This moment I'm sitting here, I am the same me 10 minutes ago when I was having my dinner. But according to Buddhism, it's not. Everything changes. It's a flux. They keep changing every second, every kashana. So that means every instant, every moment, everything just changes. So understanding this actually can elevate us from our suffering. Well, we can talk about it later, yeah? So there is suffering, means that because we think I as a big I, we are the center of the universe all the time. So by breaking down the I into material and the mind, we will come to say, oh, everything happens just like a phenomena. it appears there's a sadness, there's happiness, there's an anger. I have an anger, right? It's not that I am angry. So next time, there are many people who always ask us, like, 师父, how to deal with anger issue? Every time I go home, I want to yell at my kids, and my husband didn't do anything. What should I do? So the quickest way I tell them is, okay, next time when you feel that you're angry, right? Don't tell yourself, I am angry. Change your word. You tell yourself, I have anger, right? Or I have an angry mind. I have. If you say I am, that means you become the anger. That is you. If you say you, then it becomes permanent, right? You are the anger itself. So there's nothing you can do when you become the anger. But you say, I have anger, means that it comes, it goes. If you have anger, wait for 5 seconds, maybe 10, maybe for some people 1 day, right? Wait for it. It comes and it goes. So this is the most important thing that Buddha taught us about suffering and impermanence, right? And yeah, I really love this about, can you read this? Okay, so there's a girl and a daddy, right? And the daddy asked the girl, so when you take apart a Lego house and mix the pieces into the bin, where does the house go? Like a Lego and a house. And the daughter said, it's in the bin. He said, no, right? His father is a saint, right? No, those are just pieces. They could become spaceships or trains. The house was an arrangement. The arrangement doesn't stay with the pieces and it doesn't go anywhere else. It just gone. Is it easy to understand? Okay. Yeah. What is it talking about? Yeah. Is it all of us are like a Lego, right? We are built up by a Lego. I'm not seeing you as the unit. I'm seeing like you're formed by your hand, your hair, your legs, the body, and maybe you have something else in the mind. It's like a Lego. When you take that apart, right? So imagine when we die, at the time we die, we kind of disintegrate, right? Back to the earth, back to the air, back to where we come from. So in Buddhism, this is how the I is like a Lego parts. We put together, become a me, and the me itself is just a name. It's not a thing that stay there forever. So this is a teaching about and then later on we'll talk about this is the basic idea of emptiness. You heard about emptiness, right? Especially in Chinese Buddhism, emptiness is one of the most important teachings in Buddhism. It's a little bit kind of abstract, but it came from the most basic teachings about the non-self, right? Sunyata, emptiness. So this is from the Buddha's teaching or the first noble truth. There is suffering because we think we are a self that never change. All right, there's an origin of suffering. Of course, we talk about the law of dependent origination. I'm sure you have seen of it. The cycle of life, right? It's a circle. Usually we start from the one at the top, the delusion. And then because of delusion, we have action. Because of action, we have consciousness, and then so on and so on. So this tells a very basic idea of one action lead to the other. An action, we have a reaction. Well, this is not said by the Buddha, this is said by Newton, right? The Buddha said, there's an action, there's a result. A similar thing, okay? So it's very simple. So every suffering, there's a cause. We have to understand what the cause is, and then by understanding it, we know how to break the habit. Okay, so there are 12 links here under the law of dependent origination. But I actually want to focus on the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the 5 in the blue box. Yeah, you see that there is a contact, that are feeling, desire, grasping, and existence. These are the five that I think is actually relevant to our everyday life, to any moment when we are awake. I always believe that learning Buddhism, we shouldn't just learn about or memorize about all the terms and what they mean. It's more important, we have to keep asking a question like, what are these teachings going to do with my life? How are they relate to my life? How should I use them? Right? Why should I learn this? But keep asking this question. So in this 12 link, of course you can memorize all of them, but they're not going to change anything, right? I can just memorize the terms here, but okay, what is it going to do in my life? So by focusing on these five, from contact all the way to existence, it explains a lot of things that happening in our life. Okay. Why? Because I want to go a little bit of Western psychology. In Western psychology, we have something called the ABC model, or whatever they call it, ABC model. Okay, what is A? A is activating event. You say that every day we are being activated by something happen around us. We heard a conversation. You see a beautiful clothes. You watch in a very boring Netflix movie, right? So this is something that happened, activating event. And because of that, it caught our attention. And then we have a belief system in ourselves that tell us how to deal with it, right? And in the end, we have consequences. So these are the A, B, C. It talks about how we deal with everyday life, what happened in between. Of course, from a Buddhist point of view, because Buddhist is about psychology in a broad term. Do you agree? Yeah, Buddhism is about psychology. We have a contact, right? We remember the first five we were talking about. Contact, feeling, desire, grasping, and I said, okay, these five, how are they related to everyday life? It's like this. Contact. Contact means that something happened. Like you're driving a car, somebody honk you, you heard the noise. Okay, something is happening, right? There's a context. And the next thing is, because of that, you have a feeling arise in you. Right?
Eyes open.
Okay, that's funny. Everybody can hear you, okay? Please remember to turn on your mic. Turn off your mic, all right? Feeling. And then because of, you heard a voice, it's either something you like or dislike, right? So you always have a feeling of like or dislike. And because of, when you hear something you like, right, and you want to hear more, it's called what? Desire. You desire more. When you eat a chocolate, so, wow, chocolate from France. I want more, a little bit more, just a little bit, enough for today. Desire. Because of desire, you reach for it, grasping, right? And at the end, because of this, you have existence. So all these actually are related to the Western psychology model of our behavior. So in short, these five elements from the dependent origination talks about our experience in daily life, what happens in our mind, and how we react, how we behave, define who we are as a human being or as somebody. So by understanding contact, feeling, desire, grasping, and existence, we can change our behavior from now. All right. Okay, let's look for more example, right? I want to go a little bit more on how we apply them. Okay, let's say, right? Let's imagine you went for a driver test, you failed it, right? There's a context. Something happened. I failed my driver's test. So what is the feeling? I feel bad. What is the desire? No more test. Pay more money? Okay. It's still doable today. How much? You won't pay. All right. Yeah, you feel bad, right? And you might come to you might come to an understanding or belief that I'm just not good. And then what happened? you give up, right? From now on, maybe not taxi, we call Grab, right? You only take the Grab. Or in Singapore, I don't know, you use Uber or Grab, Uber or Grab, Grab too, right? So this is what happened. Something happened. We believe, right? We believe I'm bad. I believe I'm not good. That's why from now on, no more driving, no more cars. I just want to take the Grab, easier, cheapest. Maybe not the safest, maybe not. I'm not know. So this is what happened in a very negative way. Well, what about it? The other way, right? If the same thing happened, we fail a driving test, right? But instead of feeling bad, I feel challenged. Oh my goodness, that's challenging, right? Desire. What do you desire? I want to pass it. And what you try to do? Okay, the test is high quality. I must well prepare. Pay more money. No, pay more money to tuition, right? Get more proper lessons, all right? Get well prepared. And at the end, the success. So this is how going through a negative loop, transforming that into a positive loop. They're all explained by the 5 links in the dependent co-origination, dependent origination. One link to the other. Something happened, what you feel, what you desire, how you actually do it, and the result. Actually, it's interesting, right? So instead of just saying that in freedom ABC, actually in Buddhism, we are more detailed. We we kind of divide them into different items that easier to understand and to grasp and to teach us how are we going to change our behavior in the future. It's already there, right? So it's very psychology. It's very relevant to our daily life, right? By just looking at one example. All right. Now, from now on, when you see a sign like this, a paper and a pen showing up, it's a time for you to do your homework. No, not homework, in class work, right? At this moment. All right. If you have paper, right? I see most people have paper. If you are in front of a computer, maybe you can, I don't know, grab a paper or type, open up another screen and type it up. What I'm going to do is try to answer some question for yourself. All right. A, what happened? You think about an incident, and maybe a small thing. My boss yelled at me today. Right. And another one, what? My husband didn't wash his dishes last night, and my wife didn't make me dinner last night. Okay, whatever it is, a small thing happened to you. What happened? Okay, what did you feel? What did you wish? And what did you do at that time? Right, that's the second question. Actually, split into three. First, positive also can, but negative is easier. Of course, yeah, life is suffering. It always a negative events, right? Not much of positive, right? It's easier to do with a positive one or a negative one. What do you feel? What do you wish what do you want, right? And what did you do? At the end is, what was the result? Try to write 1 or 2 sentences for each one and see what you get. Is it clear? Yeah. Any question online? Yeah, just do it now. Give you about maybe 5 minutes. I'm sure we can spare 5 minutes. All right. Okay, starting now. Or if you don't have pen to write, you can just go through in your mind. Think about one incident, what happened. Yeah. What did you feel? What did you want? What did you do? And what was the result? Just one sentence or two. You don't need to write an essay, right? I know somebody will try to write a diary. Oh, keep writing and
不会
writing.
不共解除经
What? Right, 2 more minutes. One minute. All right. Okay. Did everyone get what you wanted to complete, to reflect, right? To think about, to think back what happened? Maybe I share mine first, right? A little bit of very short story. Um, the other day when I was driving on a highway, and I was actually on a fast lane, taking over a truck right next to me. It's okay. I was under 110. Okay, somebody will okay, me shock. 110. The truck was low. Okay, so I was slowly taking over the truck, and suddenly there was a sport car right, like came so fast I didn't even saw him, didn't even see him, just right in the back. And then he was impatient because there was a long trailer. The truck was very long. So I could feel that he was so close to me, almost bumper to bumper. And then he started to vroom, make the noise. I don't know how you feel, guys, but I feel like the urge of, like give me like, how impolite are you? I started to feel. So how did I feel? I felt like, my gosh, this is Malaysia. Well, I mean, it's so uncommon. I was like, oh, how come people become so impatient these days? So what did I wish? I wish I was driving a Porsche, going fast. No, just kidding. I just wish that, come on, let's finish it. Let me cross and I'll let you go. Sure, I don't want to block your way, but the truck is so long. It took me a few seconds, right? Be patient. But what did I do? I couldn't do anything. I was a little bit angry. But I just keep my pace, and the car would vroom, vroom, right behind me, and then it start honking me. Even worse. What? So what did I do? Transform into a what? No, No. I didn't transform the Asura, right? I try to hold my anger and I just stay quiet. And then when I pass the truck at the end, I go back to the slow lane, let him go. The car just boom, washed by and didn't see him anymore, right? Just happened in a flip of seconds, few seconds. But I stay angry for another 10 minutes. So does it worth it? Think about it, what was the result, right? Well, does it worth it? I'm not sure now when I think about it, when I think back, I think it's silly. But I think it happened to many people too, right? Some people's, so when you look at it from the other angle, maybe someone was having emergency, maybe whatever it is, but why do I want to take somebody action and torture myself for 10 minutes? Even he's already gone, like miles and miles away, but I'm still here, stuck in my emotional turmoil, burning myself. How impolite, how, no. This is unacceptable, no, this is unfair, this is not right. But things like that going on in your mind, but after 10 minutes, it subsides and it's gone. But I lost 10 minutes. Right? Does it worth it? So what happened? What did you feel? What do you wish? What did you do? And what was the end result? This is the cause and effect that was taught by the Buddha. If we don't watch our mind all the time, we'll just go into a negative loop again and again. Right? This is why I feel the beauty of this teaching is so applicable to our day. Even now, at this point, when you're staring at me and you're nodding your head, what's going on in your mind? What happened? What did you feel? What did you do? And what is it? Do you want to stay awake for another 10 minutes so that at the end you feel, oh, at least I was listening very carefully for 10 minutes and at least I remember one thing. That's worth it. Or you can just doze off and I'd rather watch my IG, and like quietly take off your handphone and start scoring, go back to your normal routine and wasted your 2 hours here. It's up to us. Okay, so I think the beauty of this is so applicable, but it's just that do we remember to use them? Okay.
Shifu, we have someone sharing on the chat.
Oh, okay. I'm going to turn on the
Someone
microphone.
share.
Everyone can
Yes.
hear you.
I think he or she type it out on the chat.
Okay.
A is a Taiwan number 8 hoist in Hong Kong today, and B
Okay.
is vegetable sold out. So we can just eat noodles for dinner and hope typhoons leaves us as soon as possible. And C is that we still enjoy the meal.
Beautiful. Thank you. Yeah, that's nice. So this is a positive one, right? Typhoon today. Well, if that happens, I don't know. In Malaysia, we hardly had typhoon. Yeah, but I think a few years ago we had some kind of storm, right? Rainstorm, but not typhoon. But I know typhoon in Hong Kong is very scary. Oh, floods. Oh yeah, we have floods. Hong Kong also have floods. We're stuck. Oh, glad that they're still alive. So happy to see you. All right. Yeah, but it could be something disaster. It could be something that we complain. It should be some bad memories. But for the sharing just now, we said, oh, don't have vegetable? What a problem. We got noodles. Right? Eat the noodle, it's the same. So I enjoy the time. Maybe. So it's a holiday today in Hong Kong. Yeah? No holiday? So sad. Okay, can we have maybe someone on the spot to share a story? Any hands up? No? Or the mic just drop anywhere it goes to? Okay, there's a hands. All right. Right. Come on, you can speak and everyone can hear you. Don't worry.
Hello? Is it on?
Oh, let me see. Not yet.
Oh, it says hello.
Okay, it is now.
Hello. Okay. So what happened? So I think some of you know, like recently my grandmother passed away. Right. So I kind of accepted it surprisingly fast. But yesterday what happened was I suddenly thought of a song and it kind of reminded me of my grandmother. So that's what happened. And then how I felt, of course, I felt very sad. right? Just suddenly it just came, the grief, right? So what I wish at the time, I was like, oh no, it's coming again. No, I don't want to be sad. Right? I don't want to be sad. That's what I wished. So, but what did I do? So I think I just let myself cry, and I let myself just like sort of ride through it, and also think, okay, what am I thinking now? Do I like, in grief, do I wish that, oh, I wish she was alive, I wish she was back? No, right? So I just let myself like sort of process the emotions. That's what I did. Just let myself cry, just like really ugly cry for a while. And then what was the result? Eventually I feel better. Yeah. Of course it will come back in waves, but it's not like I cried there for like half an hour. In 10 minutes, let it out, still there, never mind, continue on. I don't know.
Okay.
Mm.
Oh, so you choose to let yourself to feel the emotion and let it flow naturally and not, just let it,
Let it go. Yeah.
feel it
Mhm.
and let it pass.
Mhm.
Thanks for that. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
Thanks. Yeah, you can leave it on the table. It's fine. All right. Oh, it's okay. I think the battery can last. Don't worry. So, okay. Oh, anyone else online? You can just. Louis, can they unmute themselves or they're all under your
Yes,
powerful control?
Shifu, they can unmute themselves.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Anyone else want to share your story? Oh, I
This is
see your hand.
Cindy.
Okay, just unmute yourself and start talking.
Yeah, I can share what happened. So yesterday when I came back home from work, I noticed that the kitchen tap sink was not fully closed, so the water is dripping away. Yeah,
Oh,
so that so what I feel immediately is that what did I do? So I quickly turn it off, and of course then I noticed that the anger arose. Yeah, I want to find out who's the culprit. Yeah, because like to me, how long has that been? A lot of money would have been wasted. Yeah, so somebody must be responsible for it. Yeah, that's how I wish. Yeah.
so you have a very clear goal to find the culprit and ask him to pay for it.
Yeah. So then, what was the result? So then, my son was home, so I can sort of like point down to either one of them. Yeah. So of course they will deny. Then I realized whoever that has done it, like I say, likely would have you, right? Because you would be the last one washing the dishes or whatever. So I told him that, yeah, because of your carelessness, a lot of money was wasted. Then I want to punish him. Yeah, but then I realized that whatever I'm going to do, it's not going to rectify the situation anyway. Yeah, it's like it has been done. Now I still have to pay the bills. So even if I punish him, it's not going to improve the situation anyway. Yeah, so I just let it go. Okay. But in the evening, I kind of recall it again. I felt like telling my husband about it. I think with the intention of wanting to embarrass or punish my son in a way lah. But then I got caught the unwholesome thought again. So then I was like, okay, stop it, and then I just let it go. Yeah. So that's what happened. Thank you.
Oh, great. Yeah, good for you. Yeah, you really are. At the end, you let go of it.
Yeah, kind of like that, because what has been done has been done. I just hope that he would be more careful and this kind of thing wouldn't happen again.
Okay. Right. Thanks for sharing. Yeah. So this is what we should do. I mean, from now on, we understand that, this is the Buddha's teaching on cause and effect. By knowing cause and effect doesn't help us anything. All right. So maybe from now on, if you want to take home something from today's class, this is the one that I want you to take home. Remember this A, B, and C in a very simple term. But in Buddhism, we talk about 5 steps. What happened? What did you feel, right? What do you wish should have happened? What do you do? And what happened at the end? So every time you want to make a decision on what to do, think about the 5 steps, right? And then we are truly applying Buddhist teaching in the most practical way possible. The thing is, I realize how actually I do feel that, especially we Buddhists, we tend to ignore our feelings. Do you agree with that? Anytime, any bad things happen, You know, like some very good-hearted Buddhists will come to you. Oh, 你要放下。阿弥陀佛 One 阿弥陀佛 can solve everything. 哦，这是你的考验。哦，不要伤心。No, you have to let go. This is impermanent. All right, I know it's impermanent, but I am the one going through the impermanent, not you, right? The thing is feeling. We always ignore. We either ignore them, we suppress them. We don't let them feel. We don't want to even touch it. We stay away from feelings as far as possible. I think maybe it's also a culture thing. Maybe Chinese people we don't talk about culture. We don't talk about feelings, right? We are brought up that way. So, what the beautiful thing about teaching is feeling. Vedana is always a very important element in Buddhist practice. Either you're doing the Theravada meditation, either you're doing the chant meditation, the feeling is always something that we have to understand. We know them well. It's not like having control. It's more like being with, as you say, right? You just now mentioned, I know that I was sad. Okay, I let myself cry. I let myself going through the grief. At the end, it will subside. It transforms to something else. So that is the thing, that the feeling, right? So from the workshop that me and my brother monk, we always do is, we always emphasize on how to express and recognize, express, analyze our feelings. So I believe that it will make us more human. It will make us more humble in a way that, we don't jump to conclusion, this is impermanence, nothing lasts. Of course, nothing lasts, but we're still alive today, right? So that is the meaning of practice. So remember the 5 steps. These are the things that I would love to share, the most important thing that you can bring home today. All right. So I know that you might have.
Can I share something?
Yeah. Take out the microphone.
This is something that happened about 3 years ago when my wife was very sick. I was having a lot of thoughts in my mind. All sorts of things came to my mind. And one of them, just for instance, I was thinking, what happened? How would I live alone without my wife? So then I was thinking, if she's not here, how do I live with my daughter? And sometimes if my daughter is working, I was thinking, and then I wasn't thinking about having a good time somewhere with friends. I just felt guilty. Suddenly, when I was thinking about that, I thought as if I was waiting for her to go soon, which was not my intention, but I felt guilty. Then I stopped thinking about that, and then I stopped thinking, and I didn't want to think about that for a long time. And after that, she passed away. And after that, I talked to friends about that. I say I felt a bit guilty because I thought about this. I talked to a few close friends, and they say it's okay, because sometimes we have to prepare on our own journey. Because she has her own journey and so do we. Then I felt good after that. And because of that, I felt it makes sense, because it's okay to be selfish in a way. And I think it makes sense. And because of that making sense, I think I'm sharing it with other friends also. Sometimes those people who are going through such tough times. So I think it's okay sometimes to think about ourselves, about future. Cool.
Yeah, you're right. To know what we're going through, to accept our feelings, to stay with it, and to accept ourselves. Beautiful. Yeah, that is the conclusion. To accept ourselves of going through all these emotions and sadness. That's part of life. It doesn't mean life is suffering, right? It means that we have suffering, and we just have to be with it, to witness, to go through, and to keep on with it. Thank you. It's beautiful. Thank you. And of course, we go back to the third noble truth. There is a cessation of suffering. Right? There's a condition when we will become after the suffering are gone. And then the last one is there's a path to the cessation of suffering. What is the path? The Noble Eightfold Path, right? the right view, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, right concentration. So these are very practical method that was taught by the Buddha in the Four Noble Truths. So in essence, the Four Noble Truths give us why we suffer, well, what is suffering, why we suffer, and there's a way to end it. The most basic and most important way to end them is to follow the Eightfold Path given by the Buddha. Buddhism, the essence, the most fundamental teachings is already given in the Four Noble Path. All right. So if you want, I can actually share the slide with you at the end. Yeah, don't worry about. I'm sure the photo might not be clear now. The wording are too small, but anyway, it's just for you to. I think. Well, actually, I don't want to. I don't need to put the colorful picture, but I prefer cartoon than a word itself. I'm sure it look very boring if I just put all the words there, and it's like going back to secondary school. The teacher start writing on the board, and it just keep copying and copying like a photocopy machine. It's boring anyway. So I prefer to use something a little bit different. All right. Okay, now we start talking about Mahayana Buddhism. Finally, okay. Well, when did Mahayana Buddhism start? The quick answer is, it is a mystery. We never know. Until nowadays, no one has come up to the most definite answer. When and where and how did Mahayana Buddhism start? Right? Can you accept the answer? No? Yes? No. Well, that's the best I can give you, right? So finish the talk today. It's unsolved mystery. We don't know how it started. Okay, let's talk about what happened then. What is Mahayana Buddhism? Why is it different from Theravada? Well, we know that up to during the Buddha's time, until Buddha passed away, he achieved enlightenment, or he went parinirvana, right? He went for his nirvana. Up to 200 years before Common Era, there is about 200, 300 years. Everything taught by the Buddha was by oral transmission, right? Only after 200 years, somebody, the disciples, started to write down in the paper, script down. We believe them to be Pali. Most of them are Pali, but not all. Most of them are using Pali text to write down what the Buddha has taught. But after 200 years of passing, mouth to mouth, orderly, right? So if you have a student who has a bad memory, thankful, God bless you, Buddha bless you then, right? It's true. But of course, we know that most of the monastics are well trained. They can memorize a lot of texts. Even today, I've seen a lot of Thai monks from Sri Lankan. They can really memorize thousands and thousands of words. They memorize everything. Since they were kids, they were trained. So human mind is unbelievable, right? So we believe most of the texts are correctly remembered, memorized, and written down. So only up to 2nd century, we have written texts. So after that, we believe that from about 150 years before Common Era to about the 1st century after Common Era, we have something called Mahayana. Mahayana means a great vehicle. We have somebody, doing something different from the traditional Buddhist monastics, and they call themselves Mahayana. We believe it happened about this era, right? About this time, about 1st century before Common Era and the 1st century after Common Era. Around this time, something strange happened. So this group of people, they call themselves Mahayana, right? Of course, they think that they are greater. They have a greater way to practice Buddhism, and then they call the traditional one Hinayana. Hinayana one is not a very good word. It actually means more vehicle, something that is more inferior. So, of course, who called them Hinayana. Yeah, you don't call yourself Hinayana, right? It must be called by someone else. So Mahayana, I call myself Mahayana, I call you Hinayana. So, but actually nowadays we don't use Hinayana anymore. Of course, right? We don't use. We call that either early Buddhism, or we call that Theravada Buddhism, or we call that. There are many terms. Don't call them anymore Hinayana, right? Is quite insulting in a way. So we believe that, of course, in this text, to make things easier, I use Hinayana sometimes, but you know what I mean, right? So we believe that there are 18 of the Hinayana schools after the Buddhas passed away, but nowadays only Theravada survive. Most of them are gone, right? They don't pass down. So every time we talk about early Buddhism, now today we are referring to Theravada Buddhism, the one from Thai, the one from Myanmar, the one from Sri Lanka. Yeah, they belong to the Theravada lineage. Okay, that's clear, right? Even though we know that Theravada is only one of them, right? It's not the only, and it's not the ultimate. There are 18 schools after the Buddha. So Hinayana, so Theravada is only one among the 18, but luckily they survive. They're well spread among most of the southern area in Asia. That's clear, right? Okay. And also, there are many theories about how the Mahayana started. Some in the scholastic world. Some say that, well, it started around the 1st century in the northwest and the south of India. This is just a guess, right? This is just the best guess, but we didn't know. We didn't have enough facts to prove that. The next thing is, they said, oh, they started by some lay people. Mahayana was started by lay people. This is a theory. Why? Because after the Buddha passed away, we had the relics of the Buddha, right? So we believe that some relics are being put in a stupa, pay homage to the relics. And these stupa, they are guarded by lay people. So these lay people, they started something called a Mahayana movement, which they focus more on lay practitioners than the monastics. So they believe that they are called a cult of the stupa because they protect and they live around the stupa. Right? They pay prostrate, they pay homage to the stupa. It's like the Buddha himself. So they believe that this is how the Mahayana began. Because what distinctive figure of Mahayana is, we emphasize on the figure of the Buddha, like relics is one of them, and a statue is one of them. But in early Buddhism, we don't have that, right? Remember, like in a very early time, immediately after the Buddha's time, the Buddha passed away. There's no statue of the Buddha. It was represented by a stupa. That's the most we had. Only after 200-300 years, we started to have the statue, making the Buddhas itself, right? So this is history. So one theory say that Mahayana began by this group of people who pay respect to the relics. So they call it cult of the stupa. But of course, another theory would say that no, the Mahayana was started by those who actually put scriptures, right? Who treat the scriptures or the books, like the writings, as the Buddha himself. So they call them the cult of the book. So these are the ones that actually form Mahayana. Well, we don't know for sure, right? This is just another theory. So just to let you know that how Mahayana began, we still haven't solved the problem, but we still try to look at, try to dig out a lot of, we try to read the early sutras to find out anything that gives us clue about how it started. All right, but this is the one that the mostly accepted theory is called the Reform movement, right? This is nowadays what we accept, especially in Buddhist studies. Actually, it is initiated by monastics. Right? Mahayana was not formed by lay people, but by monastics, but by monks themselves. Okay, now this is the latest theory about Mahayana. But what happened is, these monks, they live in the same place as all other monks, Theravada monks, early Buddhist monks. They are not like a special group that live together and then they start a secret society somewhere. No, it wasn't like that. They are like you and me, staying together in the same room. and they kind of started, they call it a reform movement among all other people, among all other monks. So they live in the same monastery and they follow the same rules. Vinaya is a rule, the codes of ethics that followed by all monks. They say Theravada monks, Mahayana monks, they all follow the same rules. Actually, it's true. Nowadays, when I went to Taiwan to receive my precepts to becoming a monk, we have two types of precepts. One is exactly the same as Theravada. We are doing that. So the most fundamental precept I received was the same as a Theravada monk. But on top of that, we have another type, we call it a Mahayana precept. It's called a Bodhisattva vows. But basically, the precept that we receive as a monk is no different from Theravada monk. Of course, we have, well, depends on which version that you follow. There are 3 or 4 versions. Some, but in Chinese one, we follow the 4th version. And Theravada may be the 1st or 2nd version, right? So basically, they're from the same thing. So now becomes strange. These people, they live together with all other monks and they follow the same rules, but they call themselves Mahayana. What does that mean? Right? Some rebellions, some form of rebellion started to form, among the monastics. So this is interesting. So it was recorded by one of the most famous monks from China who went to India. He was the first one that we have a record, right? Historical record. His name is Fa Xian. This is a photo, this is a picture of him. Well, of course, it's imagination. Who visited India, and this is what he saw. He said, Mahayana monks, Theravada monks, it's no different. They all live in the same monastery. They wear the same robe. They follow the same rules. But they call themselves Mahayana. This is what he recorded. So this is a very strong clue that tells us that, yes, Mahayana movement is not something that, somebody break out from the old tradition, form a new group, have a new life, everything starting from it. No, they are right there among us. So this is what happened. So this is when I went to India 10 years ago. This is, I think this is in Ajara or Alora, one of the famous caves. Where there are few of this in India now. They carve from the stone. They carve looking like a temple. You imagine, you use a simple tool to just dig out the rock one piece at a time to make it look like a temple, and the monks actually stay there. And this started very early in the Common Era. It's more than some of them even started very early, the 1st, 2nd century. So this is the temple where all those monks live together. They study, they live there, they practice over there. This is the interesting thing. This is the room I was talking about. Inside that rock that they cave in, actually you go to the big kind of a hole, right? And inside there you see the different rooms. These are the rooms that we believe was the room for the monks who stay there. So imagine now, let's say you live in room 1. The monk room 2 might be a Mahayana. The monk in the room 3 might be a Hinayana. Sorry, not Hinayana, Theravada monk. This is how reality was. They live together, they study together, they eat together, they sleep together in the same monastics. But the thinking is different. So we believe nowadays that Mahayana movement is formed because people have different mindsets, because people have different goals in their becoming a monk. That started off a different movement in Mahayana, right? Is that okay? Is this explanation okay? Right. So this
Could they be from different regions of India or different provinces of India? Maybe different castes or whatever.
No, but we don't have very clear record of how it is. But if you look at Nagarjuna, right, Nagarjuna is one famous monk in Mahayana Buddhism, was very early, about maybe first century. He was an Indian monk who started what do you call it? He was the one who propagated the idea of sunyata, emptiness. So he is the very first Mahayana monk that we, of course, he's not the first, but in record, he was a very early one. So we know that Nagarjuna, he lived with other monks. So we have record that shows that these monks actually, many of them, they started as a Theravada monk, right? They were ordained there, they lived there, and slowly, when they start their studying and when they started writing their own scripts, they starting about writing their own understanding of Buddhism, they show Mahayana kind of elements. So we know that these people are from the same group of people. It's just that after a while, they realize they have different thoughts. They are not so much traditional anymore. They have new thoughts. They have ways that think that this may be better for the society, or somehow they have new thoughts. So we don't know. Well, of course, some of them are from different monasteries, some of them are from different countries, but from record, we know that most of them live together, same group. They look exactly the same. They don't have different uniforms at that time. They look exactly the same. So this is how Mahayana started.
Just now, Sifu, you mentioned that there was like 18 of these early Buddhist schools, right? So like, was Mahayana at the time, like, was there also many Mahayana schools, or Mahayana was like one and then plus another 18?
Okay. Yeah, exactly. There was a theory that mentioned that maybe one of them called the Mahasamgika. Maybe they say that they kind of suspect that Mahayana was a branch from the one of 18 school is that called the Mahasamgika. They said because the Mahasamgika is always in tension with the Theravada. They are the more like the younger one, the younger monks. They are more open-minded, well, in a sense, They feel that, well, they suspect Mahayana started from this so-called Mahasamgika, but it's still not enough proof to show that it's a kind of very complicated matter, yeah. But it's possible. But for me, I tend to believe that because if you read the party text, sometimes there are records of how these two groups they disagree. Even they stay together, they have disagreement, yeah. But their disagreement is more about how we should live their life. Okay, whether I should carry money in my pocket, whether I should eat after lunch, yeah, whether I should continue 3 meals or whether I should be a vegetarian. These are like, things about your living habit. It's more about that, but it's not about, oh, I don't agree with you, your understanding of Buddhism is wrong. It's not like that. It seems that they all agree on the Buddha's teaching, but just that I don't love the way you live. I want to have 3 meals a day, not 2. These kind of things that they disagree upon. Yeah. So at that time, we believe that the 18 schools mostly coming from that reasoning. But yeah, Mahayana is, I think, there's a theory saying that it's a branch from Mahasamgika, but we still need more proof. Yeah. Okay, this is a map to talk about how the Theravada and Mahayana spread. So in Chinese, it's very simple. We call it Beichuan and Nanchuan. The one at the north, the one from the north, and the one from the south. So from here we can see, right? The one that goes from the north, from the Tibet, above Tibet, all the way to China, to Korea, to Japan. These are called the north one, yeah? That's right, you call it Beichuan. That's the Mahayana. The one that goes south, yeah? From India to Sri Lanka, to Burma, to Thailand, to Laos, to Malaysia. So mainly these are the Theravada from the south. So a very kind of geographically, we kind of split them to north and south. But yeah, this is just the idea of Beichuan and Nanchuan. This is how the Chinese word come from. Okay. Now you see the pen again. Okay, take out your pen. I give you another 5 minutes. I think how much time? Okay, not much time. All right. Take out your pen. All right. Write as many idea you have about Theravada Buddhism and Mahayana Buddhism. What's the difference? what do you think is the difference between Mahayana Buddhism and Theravada Buddhism? Okay, first example, Theravada Buddhism, no meal after lunch. Mahayana Buddhism,
3 meals.
eat as you like. No, just kidding. Buffet all the time. No, just, yeah, we have basically 3 meals, most Mahayana, yeah? And Theravada Buddhism, maybe anything. You eat anything that's offered. But Mahayana Buddhism, only vegetarian, usually. Yeah, most Mahayana. Oh, yeah. Think about it. What do you feel about Mahayana and what are the differences that you understand of? Right? As many as possible. For those of you online who have your camera on, I can see you very clearly. Hi. I can see you working very hard on them. That's why I love to have your camera on so that I can know what's going on. All right. Okay. Is that good? Okay, let's do some brainstorming. Anything you want to share? Even either online or you want to speak? Yeah, someone can just help me to pass on the microphone. Anyone, just start.
Yeah, those online who like to give your answer, you can raise your hand, click the raise hand button.
Seafood, this is my understanding of the
Okay.
Theravada Buddhism versus Mahayana. Theravada, they are the elders, so they follow those early suttas,
Okay.
very close to the Buddha's era. And then after afternoon, no more meals. They only take breakfast and lunch.
Okay.
They do not handle money. They have a kapiya to,
Okay. Yeah.
handle
Okay.
whatever they
Yeah.
want.
Yeah.
And the teachings of the Buddha, the Four Noble Truths, the Noble Eightfold Path is similar for both.
Okay.
The core teachings.
Yeah, core teaching have the same. Okay.
The Theravada monks, they are very strict. They take the full ordination, the precepts, like, the monks and nuns.
Yeah. Okay.
Whereas the Mahayana, their eating habits are so different. They because of bodhicitta, so they go towards because of compassion, they go towards more vegetarian. Whereas the Theravada, whatever people, devotees put in
Yeah.
their alms bowl, they got no choice,
Yeah.
Then they eat 3 meals a day. They also can handle money in that sense,
Okay.
when they are traveling and things like that. And my understanding of Mahayana Buddhism, one clear distinction is like Tibetan monks, there are 2 types. One, full ordination, they take the full monk's precepts.
Yeah.
Therefore, they lead a celibate life.
Mm.
But they also have a choice. Another type of monks,
Yeah.
they can get married.
Yeah.
They can have a family. They don't take the full precepts.
Mm.
That's all.
Okay. Can you hear clearly online? Oh, Danny?
Good evening, Venerable everyone.
Yes, we
I think the difference between Theravada and Mahayana, in Theravada, they focus more on the anicca, dukkha, anatta, whereas in Mahayana it's more about sunyata. In Mahayana is also, and Theravada is also in with Pali, and Mahayana in Sanskrit, as you mentioned before. And it's Theravada spreads to the sea route, so it spreads to the South Asia, East South Asia, whereas Mahayana spreads to the East Asia. There are also fewer Buddhas in Theravada, as I heard. Like I think there are 28 or 23. I can't remember the number of Buddhas before, including Siddhartha. But whereas in Mahayana there are more, and I think it's also including like even existing at the present moment,
Yeah.
like different multiverse, or I don't know. I forgot the exact word, the exact Dharma word for it. So there are different vinayas for the monks as the attendees have mentioned. Also, I think the major difference in Theravada for Theravada versus Mahayana is that Theravada focus more on personal liberation, and you are a disciple of personal liberation. Like, so you are a disciple of the Buddha, so it's more of a Sravaka Buddha, or focus more on arahantship as the highest attainment. Whereas in Mahayana, you focus more on the bodhisattvahood as the highest ideal.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, well, thank you. That's really precise. And I can tell that many of you are really very well studied on the history of Buddhism. Okay, anything else? Anyone else want to share? Okay, I saw a hand over there.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you. Good evening, Venerable and brothers and sisters. I just have a few points to add, similar to Brother Danny as well. So language, I was going to say language. The Theravada tradition has a stronger emphasis on the use of the Pali language. Mahayana uses Sanskrit and also like Chinese and Tibetan, depending on like which sub-tradition. I was also going to mention multiple Buddhas. Danny has already brought that up. So, in my understanding, at least with the Theravada tradition, I'm more familiar with. There's the present Buddha Gautama, and then there are many past Buddhas and future Buddhas. In Mahayana, it seems like the number of Buddhas is a lot more, multiple Buddhas, and there are a number of Buddhas in the Mahayana tradition that the Theravada tradition does not recognize or does not even seem to be aware of. Yeah, and there are many more, but I'll add one more final doctrinal point that I'm actually curious to know more about. So I'm not very sure about this answer. So I'll just raise it up and maybe Venerable can clarify. It seems like there might be a different understanding of Nibbana or Nirvana in Theravada and Mahayana. So I'm not so sure. So in Theravada, Nibbana seems to be sort of the final goal for the Arahant disciple, and then the Pacceka Buddha, and then the Sama Sambuddha. In Mahayana, I'm not so sure. It seems like the nirvana of the Savaka is not like the final yet, and then they continue to progress to Pacceka Buddha and Sama Sambuddha. So there might be a different understanding of the final goal there. So this is a more doctrinal point. I'm not too sure, but I'm curious to know more about this. So maybe not in the first session. I'm not sure. We might need the next session to go into this. But yeah, thank you.
Sorry, you give me homework now. Sorry, what's your name again?
My name is Wei Ken.
Wei
Ken. Yes.
Okay. I think maybe 2 points I can briefly touch upon. First is yes, I think you're right. In Theravada Buddhism, at any one time, we believe there's only one Buddha. Right, we are a past Buddha, but any one time there's only one. It comes after the other has gone, then only the next one will appear. Right, this is what in the system of Theravada. But in Mahayana, is more fun in a way that we can have multiple Buddhas, and like the numbers are just that there are many Buddhas that can be at different places at the same time. So this is the main difference about multi-Buddha, a multi-verse universe kind of world. So yeah, this is one difference. The second one, you mentioned about the final goal, right? Yeah, as you said, Nirvana, they have actually in the Theravada, I believe that even we call it the Sravaka, they have different stages of we call it the stream and the stream entry, right? You have a first and then second, the third. The fourth one is Arahant. So traditionally, right, these are the four stages that in Theravada Buddhism, these are the stages that we aim for. But we don't forget that Theravada Buddhism also have another option. It's called the Bodhisattva path. So even Theravada talks about Bodhisattva. So traditionally, there's a two path, even in Theravada Buddhism. You either follow the traditional one, go through the stream enterer for the four until you achieve Arahat. That's believed to be faster than you go to the Bodhisattva way. So even Theravada talk about Bodhisattva, but not as much as Mahayana Buddhism, because traditionally, even Mahayana Buddhism always think that going to Arahat is they always think that it's a little bit more selfish. Yeah. So in Mahayana, they will think that, oh, so more emphasis is giving on Bodhisattva path. Right? Especially in one of the very important texts is called Yogacara Bhumi. They have 10 stages instead of 4, right? Yogacara Bhumi has 10. So they believe that from the first until the Arahat is about equivalent to the 6th level on the 10 steps. So if you want to compare the Theravada and the Mahayana kind of stages, if I use the Yogacara Bhumi as an example, Arahat is not the highest. It's only the 6th level in the Yogacara Bhumi. After 6, you still have 4 more levels to go until you reach the highest, is like the same level as the Buddha, right? The Samyak Sambodhi. That is the ultimate highest level of Buddhahood that you can achieve. So yeah, if you want to put it in a very simple explanation, this is how they compare. Yeah, it's true. Mahayana Buddhism don't regard Arahat as the final goal. You know, they always want to aim for higher. All right, any other question? I think I have few more slides, but it's not in a rush. Yeah, we can talk a little bit more slowly, more casually in the next class. So, open for questions. Anything that you want to discuss online?
Shifu.
Okay.
Shifu, there are
maybe-
some questions.
Yeah, I give one to Louis first. Okay. Okay, let's
Yeah.
open
No,
one and
I
then
mean,
come back to
there's
it.
some question in the chat, which I can read them out.
Okay.
Okay. The first question is, how do we apply the middle path?
That will take one semester to answer. Okay, one quick answer. Remember the slide we're talking about, the Eightfold Path? Copy this picture, this graphic. This is the middle path given by the Buddha, 8 of them. Okay, I think I answered the question. Yeah, this is the middle path given by the Buddha. Follow all the steps here and you'll be fine. All right, Louis, can we go to the second question?
The next question is, Venerable, if everything was orally transmitted and Mahayana appeared 500 years after Buddha, how can we historically prove that the Mahayana exists?
How do we prove they exist? What does that mean? Can you explain
CGG,
a
would
little?
you want to unmute yourself and ask Venerable yourself?
Venerable, I
Hi.
was just trying to ask how could we historically prove that Mahayana existed rather than just by theoretical means? Yeah, thanks.
Oh, you mean existed means what? Physically existed? Oh.
Artifactually that can be proven historically. Yeah.
Artificially.
No, artifactually. That means you can find the
Artifact. Oh,
Yes.
definitely. One of them is the sutra. You know, in Chinese sutra, we have very early Mahayana text can date back to the 1st century. Yeah, we will talk about it in the next, maybe the next few lessons. They are very early text, has been translated from India as early as the 1st century. Yeah, there's almost about 2,000 years ago. So those are very clearly they are different from the Theravada tradition. Those are called Mahayana texts. And we have texts as artifacts to prove that Mahayana already existed as early as that time. Is that oh, okay? Is that clear?
But I was kind of more kind of curious about how, because between the Buddha's nirvana to this 2000 years ago, there was a
Yeah.
period of 500 years in
Yeah.
which we don't know where and where did the Mahayana teachings went to and who preserved it and all those stuff. So I think I just wanted to ask that part of the question. Yes.
Oh yeah, that's right. Actually, there are still many things that we're not clear about, like exactly where, which part of India and who. Actually, there's still so many things that we are unclear about, but we can only start looking from the Mahayana text, the earliest Mahayana text, and to find some clue. Of course, artifacts we still have some. You know that we have some stone. We have some stone. We call that the imprint on the stones. Very early, like some found in the what do you call it? The Asunta or the Ajara or the cave that I showed you just now. In the cave, they found there are some stone that mention that this is donated by who and who, like maybe the very important person, and there are few that suspect they actually represent the Mahayana monks. Because why is so? Because you see a monk's name as a donor to the monastery. Does it sound strange to you? Remember that traditionally monks don't hold money. How do they donate money to build a temple? Right? So this of course you might argue that, well, he might just use his name, it might be given by his lay people. Of course it's possible. But so we are looking at clues, little bit, tiny bit here and there, try to like a jigsaw puzzle to kind of pull up the whole picture of Mahayana. But now it's still too early to have a full picture. Yeah. So the best guess is what we were discussing just now. Like here is a reform movement for the monastics, and they follow the same rules. Some early Chinese monks have seen them. So this is the best we can get now. The earlier one is much harder. Much harder. That's all I can say. Yeah. Okay, maybe I have a question.
Yes.
Venerable, there's another question. Okay.
Okay. Can we go back to
Because there are a few more questions. So Venerable, do you think we should just take down the question and then I'll send it to you and then you can answer them the next week?
Okay, that's also good too, because now it's almost time. I think we don't want to hold back people for too long. Yeah. Maybe you can copy the question and
Sure, I'll
you
do that.
send me and you send to me where the WhatsApp. And maybe I can take one last question here from the class.
Yeah.
There's a mic. Is it okay?
Okay.
Okay. 1 minute.
All right. No, this is just like something I'm also not very sure about, Sifu, which is in my very limited understanding of Mahayana Buddhism, I hear a lot more influence on on like the aim after death, which is like I hear some things about Sifang Qile or like
Yeah.
all that, which I do not hear much in Theravada Buddhism.
Okay.
So I want to kind of know what's the difference there.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we'll talk about it next lecture. Yeah. Why do you want to go to the 西方极乐世界, the Western world of bliss? Do you want to go there? Maybe, yes. Maybe I try to influence you. No, that's not my goal too. Yeah, I have another goal anyway. Yeah, but we'll talk about that. Yeah, for sure. So, anything else? Any comments or suggestions, or maybe just really quick, take 1 minute. If anyone has any suggestions how to make this class a little bit more engaging, easier to follow, or any feedback, just shout it out or type in a message. Okay. Use the mic to shout.
No, I was just thinking that the general knowledge level in this class is higher than I expected. Like
Well, me too.
Right? So I'm just not sure whether we're all at the same level or is anyone like
Yeah, anyone felt that you're falling behind or you need more explanation? Anyone online felt that this is too difficult for you? Then I will have to adjust the content a little bit. What do you think? Okay, for you online, Type 1, if it's okay. Type 2, if you think it's too difficult today. 1 is fine. We'll stay the same level. 2 means that you want to be a bit easier. I don't think we need to go to number 3. Just 1 and 2. 1 is fine. All right. 2 means that you want a little bit more explanation. You think it should be easier. Okay, for those here who is sitting in front of me, raise your hand if it's okay. 1.
Introduction anyway.
Introduction on 2. 2, okay, you need more explanation on different terms. Then I don't want to, then I don't skip, then I don't give you, I don't stuff you too many things. So is it okay the pace today? Then I will keep doing this. I try to be more general, but not too deep into one specific teaching, because I think Mahayana is more on the, how to say, because I loved the part of history and the development of it. I think I want to really discuss it from the point of view of how is it affecting our society and how our society is changing Buddhism today. It's more like a contemporary situation that I will focus more on when talk about Mahayana Buddhism. So today is our history, how it came about, the fundamental teachings. From next week onwards, at the beginning, I will still touch a little bit about on how the Mahayana scripture came about. And then we go into talk 1 or 2 important texts. And then we'll talk about where is the 西方极乐世界, how it came about and how to get there. How to get there is more important, right? And when. All right. So let me check the chat box. I see a lot of 1.
Yeah, Shifu, we have majority give 1, and then I have about 5 or 6 2, and then I have a 3 and 1.5.
1 is a 3. You want to be more, you want a higher level, I mean, right? Okay, so majority 1, I would try to keep the same pace.